Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So we're going to talk about Medicaid and the ACA a little bit, what the effect the OBBB is going to have on that. None of it's good, by the way. And even the stuff that they said, oh, we've taken care of, really is not a thing. So they're going to delay Biden's eligibility, of course, because the whole point in them trying to save money in healthcare is to make it difficult for people to apply. They've changed so many of the policies. They've fired a lot of the administrative systems that were there to help people and answer questions, file paperwork, do anything. Well, all those workers are no longer there. HHS has been gutted. And just about, everything that they did was to help with these programs. So not only are they making it harder, they're also making it, even if you do jump through all the hoops, your paperwork probably won't even get done. My favorite one, though, is the Medical Rural Health Provider Fund. It's $50 billion in grants to states to support rural health care providers, right? $50 billion. Man, that sounds like a lot of money. It is super not a lot of money. It is nothing. It's a joke. They took $250-300 billion away from rural communities, and they're giving you 50. And they're in some states like Kentucky, Louisiana, and a few others. If you watch my previous videos, some of those states already had half their rural hospitals were in trouble to begin with. So now they're getting $1 in $6. I'm sure that's going to solve their problem. No, they're all gonna, they're all gonna fail. And that's terrible because that means people are gonna have to drive further for healthcare. And if you're having a heart attack or you're bleeding out, probably, or let's just say you're having a problematic birth, well, all those things are going to contribute, and you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. So yeah, this 50 billion that they got put in there sounds like a lot of money. It is not a lot of money. It is a joke. It's putting your finger in a dam with about a million other cracks. They're going to limit immigrant eligibility for Medicaid. That's refugees, asylees, people that have probably had a pretty rough time of it. And certain legal residents, they're just not gonna be eligible. And then they're gonna increase eligibility checks every 6 months. More administrative work that's not going to be done because there's no one there to do it. See how they did that? They're super freaking slick that way. So the cap on state and local government provider tax, that's the big one. That's when they're like, that's the one that they're going after the hospitals in urban and suburban communities and rural communities. But like you said, they got that $50 billion. Well, that's not even enough to cover the problems they're going to have. Because what's really interesting, and something I learned talking to some hospital administrators, is they share a lot of staff, especially in rural communities. The hospice, the old folks home, hospitals, all kind of share a lot of staff, and they share a lot of the cost burden of that staff. Well, that's all going away. So that'll be interesting. I'm going to talk about the economic impact of that in another video, but that's going to be huge. Well, it's the changes of Medicaid provider tax rules are going to be what's going to be it's like throwing a match on a gasoline drum floating in a pool of nitroglycerin. It's going to be a pretty big explosion. And then they're making requires for Medicaid enrollees to pay some costs, which is great. Unless you don't have $35, then you just, or you have a mental health problem where, of course, you don't have any money. I mean, $35 is a lot of money to a lot of people in this country. And it's more than enough to keep people from actually seeking healthcare, which, by the way, is the entire point of the entire program, is to keep people from actually seeking healthcare. Then there's this thing, and I mentioned it in an earlier video, the added work requirement. This thing is what they did in Georgia. This is what screwed up their entire health system. 80 hours a month, sure. But you understand the administrative costs in Georgia for them to check this stuff outweighed any savings they made. But don't worry, this time they're just not even going to bother. It's just going to be, please hold on. Your call means a lot to us. Please hold on for hours and hours and hours until you get frustrated, hang up, and then you got to get back in the queue again. Guaranteed that's what they're going to be doing here. It's the worst. Anyway, like and subscribe if you wish to support the work I do on this channel. PayPal at CLSP Politics. So let's talk about the ACA for a minute. So the Affordable Care Act, they're going to limit premium subsidies for certain enrollees. They're really kind of pointing the gun, that the people who sign up in the gaps, right? Because it's a law. The ACA is a law, so there's requirements, but there's certain areas they can mess with people. And when it's not the enrollment period, they can really mess with you. So a lot of people are going to be pushed off of healthcare and moved on. Limits to immigration eligibility. We talked about that. Refugees, asylum seekers, temporary protected status, which don't worry, they're getting rid of all those. We're going to talk about that later too. And that's, I'd love to tell you it's death by 1,000 cuts, but I really think it's going to be death by 1,000 shotgun shots. I mean, it's not going to be, this is not slow bleed. These are just huge impact moves that they're making. Again, they're making more requirees for pre-enrollment verification. Again, goes back to the administrative side of the equation that they've gutted. So there's no there to go and get, your eligibility for the ACA even figured out. So that's cooked. That's baked in. This is just them cutting off the front end as well. They cut the back end off administratively when they said they could fire all of these federal employees that actually do this job. And so it's going to be a bunch of waiting around on a phone. So that's that. That's the healthcare bump issue that with the OBBB. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. If you wish to support this channel, check me out on PayPal. I'm not monetized by YouTube in any form or fashion. So if you saw commercials, I didn't see any of that. All right. You have a good one. Talk to you later.